I'm Tatum Skipper, and welcome to Real Florida Magazine.
Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College, as we are every day. Here today in another of our series of Meet the Candidates. With us today, John Harmon, currently a candidate for District 5 Washington County Commissioner. We'll be talking to John in this segment about his aspirations for political office. Not a first-timer. He's run for this office before. There is an incumbent in this race. We're going to talk to John about maybe what he sees as some of the issues in the county and maybe some of the reasons why he's running for that county commission seat. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guest today is John Harmon, currently running for County Commissioner seat District 5 in Washington County, Florida. Thanks for taking the time. You're a busy guy. You're definitely a working man. You're out there making a living, and so I know sometimes it's a little more challenging to take that time off to do this, but thanks for being here.
You're welcome, Tom. Thanks for being here.
It was a little bit warmer today. It's been cold. This is wintertime.
Yes, it has. It's been pretty cold.
You're in construction. You get the heat of the heat and the cold of the cold, and man, you just do you get to work inside very often?
Sometimes. We had a little small job last week that we worked inside, which was real good.
Last week was cold.
Yes. We got that finished up, so we'll be back outside next week. So I'm just looking forward to the warmth rather than the cold.
My wife is just the kind of person that loves it 95 degrees and boiling hot. I usually complain about no matter what it is. If it's too hot, it's too cold, or it's maybe it's just right. If the weather's too nice, I complain about being inside. So I'm probably one of those people that are just hard to please. John, we're here today to talk about your candidacy in District 5 in Washington County Commission. You did run for this office last time, 4 years ago.
Yes.
We have a sitting commission in Washington County, not unlike other counties that are our neighbors. 5 people, 5 county commissioners, districts 1 through 5. You're in District 5, which is the south part of the southeast part of Washington County, encompasses Sunny Hills, Wausau, some of that area. Tell me a little bit about John Harmon. Did you grow up in Washington County? Talk a little bit about your history.
Well, my history, I was born and raised in Washington County on the community out there, St. Joseph community. Went to school at Chipley High, graduated, went to Gainesville for a while, went to Santa Fe, came back, and I transferred back because of my parents, and went to Chipola for a while. Then I started working with my brother, and so I got a little handyman service right at the moment, and I contract from my brothers.
We lived in Gainesville way back in the early 70s, and that little junior college down there is just a delight. It's not unlike Washington Holmes Technical Center, which is now Florida Panhandle Technical College, insofar as it's a community college. Yes. And it's a beautiful campus.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. How long did you go there?
I went there for a year and a half.
Okay.
And then I left.
Yeah. Why? What? I wouldn't wish political office on anybody, frankly. But that said, why do you have that desire to represent District 5, and why are you throwing your hat in the ring to become involved in that county politics?
Well, I grew up here, and after the last run, I said, well, maybe I won't run again. And some of my supporters really did come in behind me and say, look, you need to run. There's some things that we need done in this county, and we think you're the guy to do it. The main thing that I've heard in my walking around and talking to different people is that no unity. No unity. They don't have anything for the young kids to do, or they don't have adequate roads sometimes. I'm not real sure why, and some just feel like they're not represented well. And so, because I'm not like a mudslinger, I don't like to sling mud, I'm just telling you exactly what I hear. So I said, well, I'll try it. So I put my head in the ring, and we're going to go from here, give it our best shot.
One thing that we really respect in somebody who does just that is the politician or the potential politician, the candidate who runs for the job instead of against the incumbent or against somebody else.
Right.
At the end of the day, all that I want to know as a member of the public is, what do you bring to the table? Again, I applaud you for what you just said. I don't want to hear you bashing somebody else.
Right.
And typically that kind of stuff backfires on you anyway.
True.
You make accusations against people and it just makes yourself look sometimes a little silly. Washington County is a very large county. It's one of the few counties in the Panhandle that doesn't touch the Gulf of Mexico or the state line.
Right.
It's sort of landlocked, and it's a relatively poor county and has been.
Yes.
We experienced some growth and a lot of wealth in the time of the late 1990s,
Right.
and when the bubble burst, it hit Washington County particularly hard. A lot of people had built big homes. A lot of people had bought property. They could no longer afford those. So we've had some financial heartburn, but that seems to be turning around to some extent.
Yeah.
That said, what would you do, or let's start with, what do you see as one of the main problems that Washington County has today? You mentioned the fact that there seems to be a lack of cooperation amongst the current county commissioners. So that said, what do you look at as some of the financial challenges of the county today, and what do you think that you could accomplish as a new county commissioner?
First of all, we're gonna have to have some other revenue besides DOT, teaching, and West Point Stevens. We're gonna have to have something for young people to do. My daughter grew up here, and she had to leave here to get a job. She went to Florida State, graduated, but she still had to leave. My son had to leave. So the average age here now is 50. And by the time my kids get 50, they would have to actually go somewhere, retire, and come home. So I would want to see that we can have something here for them to do, some kind of industry come in so that they can have some livable wages and raise their family in a small town just like I was raised. That's basically what I want to do. And we have a great school here at the Technical College. I'd like to see that more implemented because they could bring more people here, more advertising, can bring them here and send them out in the workforce quicker and with a livable wage as well.
I will tell you that Martha Compton, who's the director here at the school, is very aggressive, and she's bringing in lots of new programs, cutting edge.
Right.
Right now, we've got cybersecurity, which started up a couple of years ago. We've got a new audio production program, a video production program. Coming up in this coming year, we've got a drone program coming in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so shame on us as a school sometimes for not letting people know, but rest assured that there is a lot going on, can always be more. And,
Yes.
and I appreciate the fact that you even mention the school and that you point out the fact that it is important. I think that what I focus on as a taxpayer, as the person who's paying the salary of those 5 seated county commissioners, is that many times things take on a personal stance between those people. I think that many times, instead of trying to be peacekeepers, peacemakers, negotiators, that some of these, in this case, the county commissioners, although they don't have a franchise on it, all politicians have the ability to go this route. But unfortunately, all too often, we see our county commission become very divisive. We have 3-2, they're not willing to negotiate, they're not willing to, and so consequently, sometimes by default, nothing happens at all because there can't come to a consensus.
Sure.
What, if anything, do you feel you would bring to the table as a peacemaker, as somebody who could be a voice of reason and somebody who could then maybe foster some spirit of cooperation versus that tearing apart and that divisiveness?
Well, I would be willing to listen to any advice, well, not really advice, but whatever somebody brings to the table because their ideas could be good. And surely 5 people up on that county commissioner board can come to that agreement to say, okay, at least we will listen and try to work through it. You're going to compromise something. That's life. Life is compromise. So you got to be able to sit and listen, see what they bring to the table, see what we can work out, give them my ideas, their ideas, and see if we can come to a center so that we can get something done for the people. Because actually, our job is to do the best that we can possibly do for the people that elects us. That's our job.
Yeah, and I go back to that again. I feel that as a taxpayer, I pay the salary of those people, so they should be representing me.
Exactly.
Well said, what you just said. You can't always get things your own way. You have to be willing to negotiate. You have to be willing to give and take. Sometimes it's going to be me that wins. Sometimes it's going to be you. But at the end of the day, I'd like to think that no matter who wins, the county wins. And that's what's at stake there. We've got a really good EMS system associated with the hospital. It's a county-run system, but they work very, very closely with the hospital. We've got right now some well-trained volunteer fire departments in the county.
True.
And although some challenges as far as budget, we've got a really good sheriff's office in place. Every one of those agencies that I just named has problems, has issues. On any given day, you can say, aha, you did this right or wrong. But at the end of the day, as a resident of Washington County, I truly feel that we've got a good start. We've got a good arrangement in place for all three of those services.
True.
And at the end of the day, what's important to me is that if my house is burning down, that the fire department's going to come. That if I have a heart attack, that I'm going to be able to call an ambulance and get some kind of quick response, and that if I've got an issue where I need a law enforcement officer, I'll be able to get those. That said, I started off by saying we live in a very large county. You can't have a fire department on every corner. You can't have an ambulance parked in every parking lot waiting for a call, and certainly the deputies are stretched thin. Let's talk about the sheriff's office first. Right now, the starting pay for a deputy is not much more than $14,000 or $15,000 a year after they take out their insurance. Consequently, you're not going to get somebody who's got a lot of years in law enforcement who needs a big salary. You're going to get either somebody who's getting ready to retire, ready to slow down, willing to work for that lower amount and enjoy the quality of life that we have. And we're going to talk about that again in a minute. Or you're going to get a young, fresh out of the academy recruit who may not have the best judgment. What are your thoughts now on the sheriff's office in general, and how do you feel as a county commissioner that you could perhaps help to bring up those salaries so that we could attract good law enforcement officers?
That's a good question. We definitely don't need any more taxes. I think we are being taxed to death already. That one's kind of stumbles me because we already have it in place, like you said. It's just that to bring up some more revenue would either come from taxes or some government assistance. But since we live in the government, I suppose that would be the thing to do.
And I'm willing to accept that answer, and I appreciate the fact that you are basically saying you're not really quite sure what you would do. Many times, until you're in that elected office, number one, you don't have all the facts.
Right.
And number two, I would like to think that none of those people sitting on that dais today have all the answers. And so as we have problems presented to us, we have to figure out where we're going to go from there.
Right.
But would you agree, though, that those three agencies are extremely important, and that we have to figure out a way to attract good people in those jobs?
Yes. Those are the most important things that are here. Because if you get sick, you definitely need a doctor, and if you need a fire, you definitely need the fire department. And same thing for the sheriff department. We
live in what I call a wonderful place. We call it the real Florida. The pristine natural resources. We have got so much to offer here. If you're an outdoorsman and you like to hunt and fish, there's more than enough here. If you just are an outdoors person and want to enjoy the great outdoors, we have that. We've got 16,000 acres of fresh water right here in Washington County. Yes. We're a place that people wish they lived. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we have a net loss of residents. We have actually people moving out of the county. Our population has steadily declined over the last several years. To what would you attribute that? Well,
one of the largest things is commuting to work. I guess about maybe 40% of us, the population here, have to drive at least 35, 40 miles I've had a cousin that actually drove to Tallahassee every day. So when you look at that, it's cheaper to actually live there than it live at the place where you work rather than have to commute. Within 5 years, you have to buy a new car, so that's price that you got to pay. Body wear and tear on your body. Family life is shot because you go. Some of us leave home in dark and come home at dark. So that's something we definitely have to get something here, or to make people want to stay here and have the jobs to support it. And that how we're going to attract that is just not real clear at the moment. I would do everything I could to try to make sure that happened if I'm elected. But right now it's up in the air.
We are a bedroom community, no doubt.
Yes.
There are people, you mentioned 38, 40%. I've heard other numbers, that's probably pretty close. That every day people get up here in Washington County, whether they're in Chipley or Wausau or Vernon or even in Ebro and Caryville and the outskirts of the county, and drive to another county for work.
True.
Frankly, from here to Bonifay, not a long drive, 10 miles. Even to Marietta, not a long drive, 15, 20 miles. But when you start going to Dothan every day, when you start going to Panama City or Panama City Beach every day, especially with the high prices of gasoline. Now here just recently, we've gotten a kiss. Gasoline has come down somewhat.
Sure.
That was a nice Christmas present for everybody. But at the end of the day, you've got people who make minimum wage, or certainly they're not getting rich at their jobs, and they're, like you say, they're all those expenses. So we've got no jobs, and that seems to be a continuing theme. We're losing people because of no jobs.
True.
We have a lot of other social issues because of that.
Right.
The sheriff's office, as in many other counties, is the single largest line item in the county budget. The county spends more money on law enforcement via the sheriff's office than it does on any other single portion of the budget. We talked a little bit about the low wages. What could you do as a county commissioner to ensure that, in this case, the sheriff's office, but the county as a whole, works more cooperatively with surrounding counties for mutual aid, whether it's police, fire, and EMS, whether it's economic development? And I'll add one thing to that mix, and that's that my thought is that when a business comes to Bonifay or Marietta, that benefits Chipley and Washington County because we can drive over there to that business. We don't have to have a business in our backyard. I would love to have them here, but at the end of the day, I'd be proud to get a big business going to Bonifay or Marietta or Panama City or even Dothan that would enable more of our people to be able to drive to those jobs. Even if it's a challenge to drive, at least it is a job that's available. Sure. What, if anything, do you feel you could do to make sure that we have more of a spirit of cooperation with our neighbors, our surrounding counties?
Well, there again, you would have to have some communication. Communication will be the key. You got to communicate with these counties and work with these counties because they are our sisters and brothers in county-wise here to accommodate, and we can help them as well as they help us. And that would actually bring up some of the revenue as well, like you said. I used to drive to Panama every day. I know how it was. I'd get up at 3:30 and leave here at 4 and be there at 5. So I know how it is to commute. And it's hard, but I did have a job, like you said. So if we can do some communication with these counties and work together, we all could profit. Bay, Washington, Holmes, Jackson, we all could profit. And it would be great for the community.
Well, John, thanks for being here today. I know that in the past, when you've run for this office, you've actually taken advantage of our invitation to be part of the Chipley-Kiwanis Political Forum that we do each election cycle. We're tailoring this show in that same fashion. Nonpartisan, there's no agenda to this show. It's simply an opportunity for people to meet you, to hear in your own words why they should probably support you and vote for you. Tell me, in your own words, and short and sweet, why should I vote for John Harmon for Washington County Commissioner, District 5?
Well, I'm here. I was born and raised here. I know exactly what Washington County has been. I think it is a great county. I wouldn't have any other county over it, and I think I can do a good job as County Commissioner.
Well said. Thanks for being here today. Best of luck going forward.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe we can touch base with you again somewhere down the road. You're running as a Democrat.
Yes.
So you are actually going to be, do you have a Democrat challenger right now?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so possibility of you going all the way to the general
Yes.
Without running, but if another Democrat comes out, you will be in the primary. So maybe we can touch base with you maybe after the primary and have you back on the show like we will all the other candidates and touch base and find out how it's going.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Our guest today has been John Harmon, currently a candidate for District 5 County Commissioner in Washington County, Florida. This is an opportunity for you as one of our listeners or our viewers to meet the candidates, to be a more informed, educated voter, to vote for the right man or woman for the right reasons. We have coming in next Lynn Gothard, who is the incumbent District 5 Washington County Commission. She'll be telling us from her perspective why you should vote for her, just as we will all of the other candidates. We have the Washington County Sheriff's race. We have County Commission, School Board, Clerk of Court, Supervisor of Elections, and all the other constitutional offices. Before we're done, hopefully we're going to have 100% participation and hear from all of those candidates. So make sure you stay tuned and become a more informed, educated voter. We'll be right back.